This is the Nissan Leaf. And it might not be exactly a volume seller, but nonetheless, Nissan has decided to treat it to a little update. So I've brought it out to the balmy Victorian countryside to see exactly what those changes look like. Well, from this little hatchback, you get quite a lot. I've got plenty of space, loads of shoulder and headroom for a taller driver like me, and these A-pillars are the only thing that really obscure a very good view all round. There's also heaps of space in the second row, and behind that there's a fairly generous boot as well. I've got a really good list of standard equipment as well, including lots of safety systems, AEB as you would expect, but lane departure warning. It's tons going on in here. Look at this, heated seats and even heated steering wheel. Spec levels are pretty generous. Through some of these more enjoyable corners, it's really responsive. The steering has got plenty of feedback. It's a little bit light, but actually quite communicative. And there's surprisingly not a lot of body roll at all. Actually going to push it a little bit harder through some of these. Quite a responsive little package. From the outside, the Leaf might appear to be a bit of a shopping trolley or just a bit of a functional workhorse, but actually it's quite rewarding when it comes to the drive as well. The interior, although this is an updated version, is starting to look a little dated. Some of these cheapy feeling plastics, the layout is somehow a bit, I don't know, just a bit yesteryear. There's a good responsive touchscreen down here, which has got plenty of features in it. I've got native navigation, something I particularly like in cars still these days. But as I say, the layout is just somehow a little old world, a bit antique perhaps. Is that fair? It has got Nissan's sporty style steering wheel, which is migrating across to lots of lines, including the Navara. And that helps, and ergonomically speaking, it's pretty well laid out as well. These seats are fairly accommodating. I prefer a little bit more under-thigh support, and I prefer if that can tilt as well, which it doesn't. Manual seats also, love or hate. And that nice bundle of equipment and pleasant driving experiences, all packaged up in something that will cost you $60,400 and... Is that a typo? 60 grand for a small hatchback? What? The Nissan Leaf is a little bit pricier than your average hatchback because it is, of course, electric. But the most important part of the update for 2021 relates to the Nissan Leaf battery. It's up 55% in capacity, which means that motor now puts out 160 kilowatts from 110, and torque is up to 340 Newton meters. But the biggest part, range. It's gone from 270 kilometers to about 385. This is the Nissan Leaf E+. But is it worth 10 grand over the original version? Now, unlike some other EVs, the Leaf doesn't shout about it. Its styling on the outside is a little bit different. It makes you look twice and maybe question what exactly is going on underneath that skin. Well, I can tell you, it's got a single electric motor that drives just 2 wheels, but it's got all the classic EV feel about it. One of the things I particularly like is it has this little switch down here which puts the Leaf into e-pedal mode. Now, other manufacturers are doing this. It's basically a one-pedal method of driving this car. So it works as a normal accelerator, but when I let my foot off of it to a point, it then starts behaving as a brake. And the further I let my foot off the pedal, the more regenerating effect the motor has. So if you drive this car sedately, then you really only need one pedal. But this is me we're talking about, so I'm not going to drive it sedately. And when you put your toe down in the Leaf E+, remember you've got 340 Newton meters of torque to call on. And it's actually genuinely sprightly. The previous version was way shy of that mark, and it was really probably just a pedestrian runaround. But this is different. It's changed. It's got noticeably more performance, and out on roads like this, it is way more fun. One thing I like is the pedal has a notable sort of high point, like a kickdown almost you'd find in a normal auto. And when you push through that, that's when you get the full fat, all that power and torque from that lovely new high density battery. The standard Leaf will get to 100 from a standing start in 7.9 seconds, but this one, with its bigger, more muscular battery, will do it in a second faster. 6.9 seconds is all it takes in this, which is getting into hot hatch territory. I also have a number of driving modes as well. So I'm just in D mode at the moment, but that's fairly standard automatic driving. But pop it into eco mode and you get a more economical and efficient drive program, which is tailored for making the best use of regenerative braking. There's also B mode as well. Now that takes regenerative braking up a level again and just gets a little bit more out of your range. Now Nissan says this car will do 385 kilometers on a full charge with that new 62 kilowatt hour battery. But when I jumped into it today, it said it had 400. So either it's very optimistic about my driving efficiency or there's something else going on. Another important part of that new high capacity, high density battery is it introduces up to 100 kilowatts of charging. Now the previous version, the 40 kilowatt hour battery, would only allow you 50 kilowatts of charging. But if you find somewhere that will do the full fat 100 kilowatt charging for this car, you can have an 80% charge in 45 minutes. And that for a lot of people will be the difference between whether this car stays in the showroom or on your driveway. If you took away all the things that make the Nissan Leaf largely unique in the small hatchback market, then it's fairly forgettable. And at $60,000, it is enormously expensive. If that is too expensive for you and you're still after a car of this nature, then you can still buy the standard Leaf that takes the 40 kilowatt hour battery and will charge you around about $50,000. The Nissan Leaf is not a revolutionary electric vehicle, but what it does is claim to be one of the longest in the market. The Leaf brand has been around for about 10 years, and the E Plus just takes what the Leaf does well another level up. It's kind of innocuous, and it doesn't shout that it's an EV at you. And that's what's so important for the electric vehicle cause. We need a fleet and a car park of vehicles on the road that just do the job. You don't need them to be high performance game changers. That's what I like most about this car. Now, whether the Nissan Leaf is too expensive for you, or doesn't have enough range out of its battery, or doesn't have the right features in it, the most important thing about this car is it increases the amount of choice you have when it comes to choosing an EV. And with this one will come more. And the more choice you have, the more compelling owning an EV will get. Not convinced yet? Well, the Nissan Leaf E Plus allows you to do something called grid to car. Now, if you've not heard of that, that allows you to plug in this car at home at the end of every day, and not only will it charge, but if you want it to, it will feed power back to power your house. Why is that good? Well, it means you have more flexibility in the power that you use as a consumer. You might generate electricity from solar panels on your roof, or you might buy it from the grid. But with an EV on your driveway that can feed power into the system or take it out to drive you to work, then you have more options and you have the potential to save a lot of money in electricity.